Hey guys, have you seen these advertisements about free stuff like free shipping and handling, free tickets to Disney World, free checking accounts, buy one get one free? It's like free, free, free. All these advertisements about free stuff. But when you read the fine print, it's not really free, is it? Not really free. And when you start thinking about marketing markups, they strategize this stuff. They will make you think you're getting something free, but they have actually marked the price up. And yeah, they'll give you one free, but it's really not free. That's why I say you have to understand the marketing concept and you have to read the fine print, which takes me into our faith, your faith. You know, your faith is free, but it does cost you something. And you're like, well, if my faith is free, why is there a cost? Think about it. There's a cost to everything. And there is a cost if you say you're going to be a disciple that follows Jesus. There's a cost to it. Nothing is free. There's a cost. And I can best associate that with maybe the way you may live, your comfort. You may have struggles, you may have trials, tribulations. There is a cost because he says in his word, you will have trials and tribulations. But I've overcome the world, but you will have times and seasons of setback and trials and tribulations. So there's a cost. There is a cost associated with your standard for living. How do you live your life? There's a cost. You just can't do what everybody else do. You can't go where everybody else go. You can't say what everybody else say. There's something unique about you. You're different. You're set apart. So there is a cost. You may have a season of loneliness where you're just by yourself. A cost. Because you decide that, you know what, I'm no longer going to be a part of that. So now they have cut me off. A cost. There's a cost. A cost to your faith. And I want us to talk a little bit about that. Perseverance in trials. That's one. Living out your faith may mean enduring hardships. I just talked about trials and tribulations. Consider pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials and many kinds, because you know that testing of your faith produces perseverance. You will be tested, and then you're going to have to grow in those situations. You're going to have to develop. You're going to have to build your muscles. And that's a cost of your faith, that you're enduring trials and tribulations and setbacks. A cost. Standing firm in the face of opposition. Wow. Faith can lead to rejection or persecution. In John 15:18 through 20, it says, Jesus says, if the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you also. So don't think you're going to live this life of being a believer and trusting God and following Him, and your life is going to be all hunky-dory. You hear some people say, wow, when I got saved, things in my life just started turning upside down. It just started going left for me. Because you're developing, you're building those muscles. The enemy was mad that you decided to go on the other side, the best side, God's side. And so he started throwing all kind of hammers and nails and monkey wrenches and all that kind of stuff at you. To do what? To make you want to turn back and go to him. But what we have to learn is being under the devil's camp is temporary happiness. It's not going to last. And I can assure you, when you follow that path is going to lead to darkness. It may start out feeling good, looking good, stroking you good, and stroking your ego and telling you look good and you fine and you the best thing I've ever seen. And down that line, it goes dark. It goes dark, and it goes dark real quick. It may start out, like I said, all good and dandy, but that road gets dark. It gets dark. Um, Sacrificing worldly desires. Sacrificing worldly desires. Faith requires us to prioritize God's will over personal ambitions and material pursuits. Matthew 6:33 urges us to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, meaning letting go of earthly desires to pursue heavenly purposes. You may have encountered someone who said, "Hey, I was making all this money and God told me to give it up and follow him. He had a better path for me. And know what? I'm full of joy. I'm full of passion. Yes, I have lost some things monetary, but God has just fulfilled my purpose in my soul, and I'm so much at peace." Peace is priceless. It just is. No amount of money in the world can take away the peace you feel. You hear people say that they were in toxic relationships and they were living this glamorous life. They were living in like a $500,000 home, but now they're in an apartment by themselves, but they are just at such peace, such rest. But let me tell you something. Typically, those people don't stay in those dire situations for long. God typically will elevate them to have better and more later on. Yeah, you may have to start over and it may not feel good, but you won't be there long. So someone who had to give up something to follow Christ, it's worth it. You won't be there long. We all have our stories where we had to be removed from some things. Maybe it was a relationship, maybe it was a job, maybe it was something going on in your health. I don't know, but it started out looking all gloom and doom, but now you're testifying like, oh my goodness, it was well worth it. I could not see the other side. Obedience to God's call. Faith may call us to act in ways that seems difficult. Abraham's journey to a new land, Peter called to walk on water. These are all just examples of how they had to trust God and even the personal calls. Because a lot of times when you are following Christ, you're not in a crowd. You are by yourself. And I can attest to this. Over the last few years, I've been kind of soloing. I still have my tribe, but I have really branched off and been doing a lot of self-connection with Christ and really looking at myself and trying to develop myself. I'm still a work in progress, but God had to remove me from some things and just set me aside so I can start really seeing his purpose that he has for me. I can't really hear from him with all these different voices and distractions in my ear. Yes, like I said, I still have my tribe, and your tribe will understand, because guess what? A lot of times they're going through their own little things too. God has them doing this or doing that. You're still connected, but they are growing as well. And he'll give you guys time to come back together and regroup and talk about it. And you can laugh and say, you know what? That makes sense. I needed to be out on my own. But you still have those prayer partners who are there to hold you up. Makes sense? In paying the price for faith, we discover the riches of God's presence and the depths of his promises. Though the journey may be challenging, the reward is a closer relationship with God, a life filled with purpose and peace. So we have to trust the process and understand that there is a cost. There is a cost, because God has been so gracious toward us. And we say, God, yes to your will, yes to your way. But do we really mean that when he tells us to cut off this person or stop doing that? Stop, you're building some bad habits. You no longer need to go to that place. You no longer need to participate in those activities, we know deep down we can feel that pull, but we'll resist it because we're not ready. We're not ready. But obedience is better than sacrifice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And you have to always remember that. And you really have to learn how to start praying over those different, those difficult situations that you feel like I'm just not ready to give him up yet. He just might be the one. He might be the one. If he's the one, he will come to you. He will find the wife. You don't have to go find a husband. He's going to find you. Yes, there's certain things that you have to do to make, to show that you're interested or whatever, but you don't have to run behind anyone. You just don't. You don't have to do that. Think about some of the times my mom used to tell me, if you want to hang out all night, you're putting a character out there about yourself. Ladies come home at a decent hour. Ladies don't leave the home after, a certain hour. You go back and just think about some of those conversations that you've had with your mom, that you've had with your dad, your aunties, and that information, that foundation. That's where you were building that foundation, because now you can stand on the rock. You can stand on the rock, meaning Jesus, knowing that he knows all, he sees all. And everything he put in our place, in our paths, is for our good. It may not feel good, but it's for our good. He's building us up. He's building us up. Sometimes we have to come from among them and be separated. And that doesn't mean you're better than anyone or you think you're better than anyone. You're just trying to make some life changes. And you have to implement life changes, life strategies, if you want success. Success comes at a cost, right? Think about it. You want to be successful, you got to pay. You got to pay. You got to pay for the investment. You got to go through the training. You got to put in the time, the effort. Then you got to show what you've learned. Application. Your employer sent you to this training course. Now they want to see, can you apply what was taught? The same thing with the Word of God. Can you apply what the Word says? Lean not to your own understanding. Lean not. Apply what you have learned. So again, there's a cost to everything, and there is a cost to our faith. It's not free. Until next time, continue to grow and glow in the Lord.